Along your healing journey, you're going to have this moment when you realize you don't actually need to be understood in order to move on. For a long time, many of us believe that if we could just explain ourselves better, say things the right way, use the right words, give enough context, then things would finally make sense. We thought understanding would bring peace. But what actually brings peace is no longer needing it. It's like you get to this point where you start to realize how much energy you spent trying to clarify yourself to people who were never confused. They weren't misunderstanding you, they just didn't want to accept what you were saying. When you're healing, there's often this phase where you want to be seen accurately. You want the truth acknowledged. You want your intentions understood. You want the story corrected. And that's normal, that's human. But eventually, something in your mind just clicks. You start realizing that clarity doesn't always come from dialogue. Sometimes clarity comes from distance, from silence, from letting people keep their version while you keep your peace. People who are invested in misunderstanding you will always find a reason to do so. No amount of explaining will reach someone who benefits from the confusion. And when you accept that fully, something inside of you just becomes so powerful. You stop rehearsing these conversations in your head. You stop crafting the perfect response that finally makes them get it. You stop performing for comprehension. You don't shut down. You don't harden. You don't become this mean, cold, bitter person. You just stop negotiating your reality. And that's not giving up. That's growing up. There's a quiet confidence that comes when you realize you don't need consensus to be grounded. You don't need agreement to be secure. You don't need validation to be oriented. You know what happened. You know who you are, and you know what you meant. And that's enough. And that's where your power starts to feel different. It's not loud. It's not performative. It's not defensive. It's just calm and settled. When you no longer need to be understood, you stop over-explaining. You stop trying to get someone to see your side of things. You stop oversharing. You stop trying to manage everybody's perception of you. And instead, you start living in alignment with yourself. You move slower. You speak less. You choose more carefully who you engage with and who you don't. And it's not because you're afraid of anybody, but because you're no longer trying to prove anything. Letting go of the need to be understood doesn't mean you accept mistreatment. It doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect. It doesn't mean you shrink. What it means is you trust yourself enough to stop pleading your case. You realize that people who truly wanted to understand you will. And the ones who don't, they never required more explanation. They required boundaries. So if you're in a season where you feel misunderstood, where people have their own version of you, where you've tempted to correct, clarify, or defend, this might be your invitation to pause. Not everything needs a response. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. And not every misunderstanding is yours to fix. Some clarity isn't spoken, it's embodied. And when you stop explaining yourself, you don't lose power, you reclaim it. Being understood was never the issue. Trusting yourself was. If this video resonated with you, please feel free to subscribe to my channel to continue the conversation. Here on this channel, we have discussions around confidence, boundary setting, jealousy, envy, and narcissistic abuse recovery. Also, don't forget to follow me on TikTok at AuthorAsh1. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next video.